Ever wonder what happens to the houses of the super rich when life takes an unexpected turn? When the spotlight fades or money starts running out, those massive mansions don't always find new owners. You might think a place with dozens of bathrooms and its own nightclub would sell fast. But that's not how it goes. Some of these homes sit empty for years, slowly falling apart while their value drops. Pools turn green, gardens grow out of control, and everything starts to feel forgotten. These places become reminders of fame, money, and how quickly things can change. Let's take a look at some of these celebrity homes that no one wants anymore, starting with the Princess of Pop herself.
Your grandmother was from London, wasn't she?
Yes.
So do you feel at home when you come here? Is there a connection that you're aware of?
I definitely do. My grandmother, she spoke British. We always came over. She did. She spoke British. She always said, ooh, ooh.
Britney Spears' Louisiana Mansion. When you think of Britney Spears, you think of a global phenomenon, a pop princess who exploded onto the scene in the late 1990s and redefined pop culture. But before the fame, the shaved head, the relentless paparazzi, and the infamous conservatorship, there was a simpler time. There was a place in Kentwood, Louisiana, a tiny town with a population of just over 2,000 people. This is where Britney grew up, and it's where she decided to plant her roots when she needed an escape from the chaos of Hollywood. The result is a property that is equal parts fairy tale castle and deeply personal time capsule, a sprawling estate that now sits in a state of eerie, magnificent neglect. This is not your typical Los Angeles mega mansion. It's a 20-acre compound that feels like it was plucked from a storybook and dropped into the humid, pine-scented air of rural Louisiana. The centerpiece is a 6,500-square-foot manor house that looks like it belongs to a Disney princess, complete with two massive round turrets that jut out from the main structure, topped with conical roofs and arched windows. The exterior is a warm, stucco-like finish, and when it was first built, it was a beacon of success in a town where the biggest attractions were a truck stop and a Dairy Queen. Britney bought the property in 2000 at the absolute peak of her Baby One More Time era, reportedly paying just over $300,000 for the land before spending millions to transform it into her dream home. It was meant to be her sanctuary, a place where she could return to her roots, be with her family, and escape the relentless pressure of being one of the most famous women in the world. Stepping inside the mansion, you're immediately struck by the personal touches that were so important to Britney. It wasn't just a showcase of wealth, it was a functional space for a creative artist and a young woman who loved to entertain her family. The heart of the home is a state-of-the-art dance studio, complete with floor-to-ceiling mirrors, professional-grade sprung flooring to protect dancers' joints, and a sound system that could fill a concert hall. It was in this very room that she would have practiced the intricate choreography for her iconic music videos and world tours. Just down the hall, you'd find a professional recording studio where she could lay down tracks in her pajamas without ever having to face the glare of the city lights. It was her creative womb, a space where her biggest hits were born, away from the prying eyes of Los Angeles. The rest of the house is equally impressive, designed for both comfort and luxury. There's a media room that feels more like a private cinema, with plush, oversized seating and a screen that takes up an entire wall, perfect for movie nights with her family and friends. The kitchen is a massive open space designed for a family that loves to gather, featuring commercial-grade appliances that could handle a feast for dozens of people. But perhaps the most endearing feature is the game room. It's a pop culture museum of its own, filled with arcade machines, pinball tables, and, most notably, a collection of every major video game console ever made, from the original Nintendo Entertainment System to the latest PlayStation. It's a room that screams of a young woman who wanted to hold on to the joy and simplicity of her childhood, even as she was navigating a level of fame that few have ever experienced. Outside, the property was designed to be a complete, self-contained world. There's a gorgeous swimming pool with its own grotto-style waterfall, surrounded by expansive patios perfect for sunbathing. For years, a large, custom-built gazebo stood on the grounds, which famously served as the venue for Britney's fairy tale wedding to Kevin Federline in 2004, a moment that was meant to be a new beginning but would become another complex chapter in her life. The grounds were meticulously landscaped, with winding paths, fountains, and even a private lake stocked with fish. It was a paradise, a sprawling estate that allowed the pop star to live like royalty in the very town where she was once just a girl with a big dream. So, why is this stunning piece of celebrity history sitting empty and falling into disrepair? The story is as complicated as Britney's life itself. After her very public struggles in the late 2000s, which led to the controversial conservatorship that controlled her life and finances for 13 years, the mansion became a symbol of her loss of autonomy. While it was her home, it was also an asset controlled by her father and the legal team overseeing her estate. For years, it was listed for sale and taken off the market multiple times, with price tags fluctuating wildly, from an initial ask of $7.5 million down to as low as $1.5 million. Potential buyers were scared off by a combination of factors. The sheer remoteness of Kentwood, it's an hour's drive from the nearest major airport, made it an impractical vacation home for most. More significantly, the house itself was intensely personalized. The level of customization meant that any new owner would likely have to invest millions in renovations to make it their own. Since Britney's conservatorship was finally terminated in 2021, the mansion has remained a quiet, lingering piece of her past. Recent photographs and drone footage show a property that is slowly being reclaimed by nature. The once manicured lawns are now overgrown. The grand fountain in front of the house has been dry for years, its stonework cracked and stained. The pool is covered, its water a stagnant, dark green. The paint on the exterior is fading, and the overall impression is one of profound stillness. A palace fit for a pop princess now sleeping in a deep, humid slumber. It's a poignant image, a monument to a young woman's meteoric rise and her attempt to hold on to her roots, now standing as a silent testament to the complexities of fame, family, and the fight for personal freedom. Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch.
Our live tour of the Neverland Ranch. It is a video in which some people claim that they see a ghostly figure move in the background of one of our live shots.
Fans are convinced the film captured during CNN program Inside Neverland shows Michael Jackson's ghost.
If Britney's mansion is a fairy tale castle, Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch was a fairy tale kingdom. The name alone conjures images of a world built entirely from imagination, a sprawling 2,700-acre property in Los Olivos, California, that the king of pop designed to be a literal escape from reality. Michael bought the land in 1988 for a reported $19.5 million and poured tens of millions more into transforming it into a fantastical playground, not just for himself, but for children he felt were disenfranchised, particularly those from inner cities or with serious illnesses. The concept was pure Peter Pan, a place where he and his guests could stay young forever, a sanctuary from the adult world that he often found so difficult to navigate. Neverland was never just a house. It was a fully operational entertainment complex. At its heart was a 12,000-square-foot French Normandy-style manor house, but the real magic lay in the surrounding grounds. The property boasted its own private amusement park, complete with a carousel, a Ferris wheel, a spinning teacups ride, a massive pirate ship, and a full-sized roller coaster, the Sea Dragon, which thrilled visitors with its loops and drops. There was a 50-seat movie theater with a professional concession stand, a zoo that housed exotic animals like giraffes, elephants, and orangutans, and miles of lush gardens with serene waterfalls and streams. It was a place where the boundaries between reality and fantasy were completely blurred, a testament to Jackson's immense wealth, boundless creativity, and deeply held desire to recapture a childhood he felt was stolen from him. The estate was designed with meticulous, sometimes obsessive, attention to detail. The train station, for example, wasn't just a prop. It was a full-scale functioning station with a custom-built train that chugged through the property. The main house was filled with art, antiques, and, of course, a massive collection of memorabilia. Everywhere you looked, there was something designed to spark joy and wonder. The staff required to maintain such a place was immense: gardeners, animal handlers, mechanics, security, and housekeepers, all working to keep the fantasy alive. The operating costs were astronomical, easily running into the millions of dollars per year. It was a kingdom built for a king, but as history would show, it was a kingdom built on a fragile foundation. The story of Neverland's decline is inextricably linked to the legal battles that would define the latter half of Michael Jackson's life. After the first round of child molestation allegations in 1993, the property was already tainted in the public eye. But the second set of allegations in 2003 and the subsequent 2005 trial proved to be the final blow. Though Michael was acquitted of all charges, the specter of the accusations hung over Neverland like a permanent shadow. He left the ranch in June 2005, vowing never to return, and he never did. The property he had built as a symbol of innocence and joy was now viewed by many as a place of darkness and scandal. After Michael's death in 2009, the property went into a state of suspended animation. It was officially renamed Sycamore Valley Ranch, in an attempt to distance it from its controversial past, but the name Neverland stuck in the public consciousness. The property was put on the market, and the asking price began a long, slow, and painful descent. Initially listed for $100 million, it was later reduced to $67 million, then $31 million, and at one point, there was even talk of selling it for just $17 million. But the combination of its history, its sheer size, and the immense cost of maintaining and updating the now derelict facilities made it an impossible sell. The amusement park rides grew rusty, the zoo cages stood empty, and the once verdant gardens became overgrown. The ultimate price of Michael's dreams was, in the end, too high for anyone else to pay. In 2020, it was finally purchased by billionaire investor Ron Burkle for a reported $22 million, a fraction of its original cost. But for years, it was the ultimate symbol of a celebrity mansion that, despite its fantastical origins, had become a heartbreakingly unlovable piece of real estate. Mike Tyson's Ohio mansion, moving from the whimsical fantasy of Neverland to the brutal, opulent reality of a heavyweight champion's lifestyle, we come to the sprawling estate of Iron Mike Tyson in Southington, Ohio. This was the home that Mike Tyson built at the absolute peak of his career, when he was the undisputed, most feared man on the planet. It was a monument to his dominance, a 25,000-square-foot, Neo-Georgian-style mansion set on a 60-acre property that was designed to be a fortress of solitude and a testament to his incredible wealth. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Mike Tyson was not just a boxer. He was a cultural phenomenon. And this house was the physical embodiment of that power. This mansion is less a home and more a private resort, built on a scale that is almost incomprehensible. The sheer size of it, 25,000 square feet, is enough to boggle the mind, but it's the features inside that truly tell the story. The master suite alone was the size of a normal family home. The bathrooms weren't just functional, they were opulent shrines to luxury, featuring solid gold taps, sinks, and fixtures, a testament to the go big or go home mentality of a man in his 20s who had the world at his feet. The centerpiece of the estate, however, was the indoor swimming pool, a massive, cavernous space with soaring ceilings and a design that mimicked a Roman bathhouse. But the most shocking, and now most iconic features, were the tiger cages. During his prime, Tyson owned several Bengal tigers, exotic pets that symbolized his untamed, ferocious persona. He had custom-built, climate-controlled enclosures right on the property, a detail that has since become a legendary part of the mansion's lore. Beyond the main house, the property was built for entertainment on a colossal scale. It featured a full-sized indoor basketball court, not just a half-court, but a regulation-size court with bleachers that could seat over 1,000 spectators. There was a private bowling alley, a movie theater, and a tennis court. Every conceivable luxury was accounted for. It was a place built for a champion, a place to train, to host lavish parties, and to live a life of almost unimaginable excess. It was a life that, as history would show, was built on a peak that could not last. Tyson's downfall was as swift and dramatic as his rise. His boxing career imploded, and his finances, managed with a lack of oversight and plagued by lavish spending and predatory advisors, collapsed spectacularly. In 2003, he filed for bankruptcy, and this magnificent estate became one of his most valuable assets to be liquidated. It was put on the market for $7.5 million, a price that, even then, seemed low for such a property. But the mansion was not just a house. It was a reflection of a tumultuous and often violent period. The maintenance costs were astronomical, and the property was in a relatively remote part of Ohio. The price plummeted over the years. At one point, the asking price dropped to just $1.3 million, an almost unbelievable figure for a 25,000 square foot mansion. But still, there were no takers. Today, the property stands as one of the most poignant examples of a celebrity home left to rot. Drone footage and photographs taken over the last decade show a place ravaged by time and neglect. The roof of the mansion is stained and damaged. The tennis court is cracked, with trees and weeds pushing up through the surface. The once pristine basketball court is covered in dust and debris. The indoor pool is a murky, stagnant green, its surrounding tiles crumbling. The tiger cages, once the ultimate status symbol, now stand as eerie, empty monuments to an era of unbridled excess. The estate has been through foreclosure auctions and has been owned by various entities over the years, but no one has been able to successfully revitalize it. It sits as a crumbling, overgrown ghost of a champion's prime, a place where the gold fixtures now seem less like symbols of wealth and more like relics of a story that ended in tragedy. 50 Cent's Connecticut Palace. From the world of boxing to the world of hip-hop, we find another colossal mansion that has become a financial burden and a symbol of overreach. Rapper, actor, and business mogul 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, made his name with the gritty, autobiographical tales of his life on the streets of South Jamaica, Queens. So, it came as a surprise to many when he purchased a massive 50,000 square foot mansion in the affluent, quiet town of Farmington, Connecticut. This wasn't just a house, It was a former estate of boxing legend Mike Tyson. Yes, that Mike Tyson. And 50 Cent bought it in 2003 for $4.1 million, with plans to turn it into his own personal palace. What 50 Cent created was a testament to the excess of the early 2000s hip-hop era. The mansion is staggering in its proportions, a 50,000-square-foot behemoth that is more akin to a small hotel than a single-family home. It features 21 bedrooms, 25 bathrooms, and a sprawling layout that seems to go on forever. But it's the custom features that 50 Cent added that truly define the property. He installed a full-size regulation indoor basketball court, complete with his G-Unit logo painted at center court. There was a state-of-the-art recording studio where he could work on his music without ever leaving home. But the most legendary addition was the nightclub. Built to look like a high-end Manhattan club, it featured a massive DJ booth, professional lighting and sound systems, plush VIP seating, and a bar that could serve 100 people. It was a space designed for legendary parties, a private playground for one of the biggest stars in the world. The rest of the property was no less impressive. There was a movie theater with tiered seating, a gym that would put most commercial facilities to shame, a massive garage capable of housing dozens of cars, and a heated swimming pool with a spa. The grounds themselves are equally vast, featuring manicured lawns, gardens, and even a helicopter pad for quick trips to New York City. For years, this was 50 Cent's headquarters, a place that reflected his status as a mogul. But the very things that made it a palace also made it a financial millstone. The mansion became a central character in 50 Cent's high-profile 2015 bankruptcy filing. Amidst legal battles and a hefty judgment against him, he was forced to list the property. And then began a long, public, and often comical saga of trying to unload this white elephant. The price started at a high, but it quickly became a running joke in real estate circles. The asking price plummeted. From an initial $18.5 million, it dropped to $10 million, then to $8.5 million, then to $5.9 million. And at one desperate point, he even tried to auction it off with a starting bid of just $2.9 million, a fraction of what he had paid for it. Why couldn't he sell it? The reasons were numerous. The operating costs were astronomical. Simply heating such a massive structure in the harsh Connecticut winters cost upwards of $20,000 a month. The property was also intensely personalized, making it unattractive to most traditional luxury home buyers. And of course, its connection to a bankruptcy saga didn't help its market appeal. For years, the mansion sat empty, a 50,000-square-foot monument to financial miscalculation. The once glamorous nightclub fell silent. The basketball court gathered dust. The pool was covered and neglected. 50 Cent famously took to social media to mock his own situation, posting videos from the empty mansion with captions like, "I'm in my house in Connecticut. I don't live here. Nobody wants to buy it." It became a cautionary tale about the burdens of extreme wealth. It wasn't until 2019 that the property was finally sold for a mere $2.9 million to a private buyer, a staggering loss for the rapper. But finally, after nearly a decade of trying, the palace was no longer his problem. Nicolas Cage's haunted house. From the modern excess of a hip-hop palace, we travel to the sultry, historic streets of New Orleans, to a home with a far older, far more chilling story. This is the LaLaurie Mansion, a property so steeped in horror that it makes the other troubled celebrity homes on this list look like pleasant vacation rentals. When actor Nicolas Cage purchased this historic home in 2007, he wasn't just buying a piece of real estate, he was buying a legend, a dark, terrifying legend that has haunted New Orleans for nearly 2 centuries. The mansion, located at 1140 Royal Street in the French Quarter, was built in 1832 by Delphine LaLaurie, a prominent New Orleans socialite. For years, she was known for hosting lavish parties for the city's elite. But behind the facade of high society lurked a monster. In 1834, a fire broke out in the mansion's kitchen, and when firefighters responded, they made a gruesome discovery. They found a secret attic where LaLaurie had been brutally torturing and mutilating her enslaved workers. The victims were found chained, with their limbs broken, their mouths wired shut, and other horrors so unspeakable that it sparked a riot in the city. Delphine LaLaurie fled New Orleans and was never brought to justice. The house, however, has been considered one of the most haunted locations in the United States ever since, with reports of screams, ghostly apparitions, and a palpable sense of dread emanating from its walls. This is the house that Nicolas Cage bought in 2007 for $3.45 million. Cage, known for his eccentric tastes and his love of all things gothic and macabre, seemed to relish owning such a notorious piece of American history. He reportedly purchased it as a place to write his own comic book, and he embraced its spooky reputation. But the house, with its dark past and immense structural problems, proved to be a burden. The mansion required extensive renovations, and the historic preservation laws of the French Quarter made any work a complex and costly endeavor. To make matters worse, Cage's finances were beginning to crumble. He had purchased other extravagant properties around the world, castles in Europe, private islands in the Bahamas, and the IRS was coming after him for millions in unpaid taxes. Cage only owned the LaLaurie mansion for 2 years. In 2009, the property was lost to foreclosure, a high-profile victim of his financial implosion. It was sold at a U.S. Marshals auction for a fraction of what he paid. But the story of the mansion as a celebrity home didn't end there. Its infamy only grew. It became a massive tourist attraction, a must-see on every ghost tour in New Orleans. Its terrifying history was featured prominently in the television series American Horror Story, Coven, which brought its gruesome legacy to a new generation. Today, the mansion remains privately owned, its facade a quiet, beautiful piece of French Quarter architecture. But for those who know its history, it remains a place of profound darkness. No celebrity has dared to own it since Cage, and its haunted reputation makes it a property that very few would ever consider a dream home. A chilling reminder that some legends are best left in the past. Thanks for spending this time with me, and for letting me be your guide into these strange, abandoned halls of fame. We've got a lot more stories to tell, and I can't wait to share them with you. Until next time, take care.